In a world where justice often hides behind badges and biases, imagine being thrown out of your own paradise by someone sworn to protect it, only for the tables to turn in the most explosive way possible. If stories of epic comeuppance, hidden fortunes, and shattering stereotypes fire you up, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this tale of HOA cop kicks black woman out of pool, then learns she owns the whole property, will leave you cheering for the underdog and questioning every authority figure you've ever met. Don't miss out. Subscribe today and join thousands across the USA and UK who've unlocked the power of these gripping narratives that expose the raw truths of our society. The sun blazed high over the upscale Willow Creek estates in suburban Atlanta, Georgia, casting shimmering reflections on the crystal-clear waters of the community pool. It was one of those perfect summer afternoons in July, where the air hummed with the distant laughter of children and the faint scent of sunscreen mingled with chlorine. At the center of it all was Serena Washington, a 42-year-old black woman whose poised elegance turned heads wherever she went. Dressed in a simple yet stylish one-piece swimsuit, her dark curls tied back in a neat ponytail, Serena eased into a lounge chair by the pool's edge, her tablet in hand, as she reviewed emails from her latest business venture. She had moved into Willow Creek just 6 months ago, drawn by the promise of tranquility after years of grinding in the corporate world. Little did she know that this idyllic setting was about to become the stage for a confrontation that would unravel secrets, expose prejudices, and redefine power in ways no one could predict. Officer Harlan Brooks, the self-appointed HOA cop of the neighborhood, patrolled the grounds with the swagger of a man who believed he owned the place. At 55, with a potbelly straining against his ill-fitting security uniform and a mustache that screamed outdated authority, Harlan had made it his life's mission to enforce every petty rule in the Homeowners Association handbook. He wasn't a real cop, just a retired mall security guard hired by the HOA board to keep order. But in Willow Creek, where manicured lawns and white picket fences hid simmering tensions, Harlan wielded his clipboard like a badge of honor. Today, his eyes narrowed on Serena as she dipped her toes into the water, a smile playing on her lips. "Hey, you there!" Harlan barked, his voice cutting through the serene atmosphere like a chainsaw. Heads turned, mostly white residents lounging nearby, some smirking, others averting their gaze. Serena looked up, her brow furrowing in confusion. "Excuse me," she replied calmly, her voice carrying the refined accent of someone who'd attended Ivy League schools. Harlan marched over, his boots thudding against the concrete deck. "This pool is for residents only. You got ID? Proof of address?" He loomed over her, arms crossed, expecting compliance. Serena sighed inwardly. She'd heard this tune before. As a successful tech entrepreneur who'd built her fortune from a startup that revolutionized online education platforms, she was no stranger to being questioned in spaces where she didn't belong. But today, after a grueling week closing a multi-million-dollar deal, she just wanted to relax. "I'm a resident here, officer." "Unit 12A," she said evenly, reaching for her bag to pull out her key fob. Harlan snorted, not even glancing at it. "Yeah, right. I've seen your type before, sneaking in from the projects down the road. This ain't a public park. Get out before I call the real cops." The words hung in the air, laced with venom. A murmur rippled through the onlookers. A few nodded in agreement, their privilege shielding them from the sting of his racism. Serena's cheeks burned, not from embarrassment, but from a rising fury. She stood up slowly, her 5 feet 8 inches frame matching his height. "My type? Care to elaborate." Her tone was ice cold, challenging him. Harlan faltered for a split second, then doubled down. "You know what I mean. Now scram, or I'll escort you out myself." With that, he grabbed her arm roughly, yanking her toward the gate. Gasps echoed around the pool as Serena wrenched free, her eyes flashing. "Don't touch me," she warned, but Harlan was already radioing for backup, his face flushed with self-righteous anger. By the time 2 actual police officers arrived, summoned by a nosy neighbor, Serena was standing outside the pool fence, humiliated and seething. The cops, after a quick check, confirmed she was indeed a resident and let her go with apologies, but the damage was done. Harlan, smug as ever, retreated to his patrol golf cart, muttering about troublemakers. Little did he know, this was just the beginning of a storm that would upend Willow Creek forever. Serena didn't go home to cry or complain. She went to work. Back in her luxurious townhouse, furnished with modern art and high-end gadgets, she booted up her laptop and dialed her lawyer, Marcus Hale, a sharp-minded civil rights attorney who'd handled similar cases. "Marcus, it's happened again," she said, her voice steady but edged with determination. Marcus listened intently as she recounted the incident. "Serena, this sounds like textbook discrimination. We can sue the HOA for harassment, emotional distress, the works." But Serena had bigger plans. "It's not just about me. Dig deeper into the HOA board. I want everything on Harlan Brooks and the property records." Marcus paused. "Property records? Why?" Serena smiled faintly. "Just do it. You'll see." As the days turned into weeks, Willow Creek buzzed with gossip. Some residents sided with Harlan, calling Serena oversensitive, while others whispered about the need for change in the outdated HOA rules. Harlan, emboldened by the lack of immediate repercussions, continued his patrols, ticketing cars for minor infractions and eyeing anyone who didn't fit his narrow view of community. But behind the scenes, Serena was piecing together a puzzle that had started long before she arrived. Her research revealed that Willow Creek wasn't just any gated community. It was built on land once owned by her great-grandfather, Elijah Washington, a freed slave who'd amassed a small fortune in real estate after the Civil War. Through a series of shady deals in the 1950s, the land was acquired by developers tied to the current HOA founders. Serena's family had lost track of the inheritance amid migrations and lost documents. But her recent genealogy dive, sparked by a DNA test, had uncovered the truth. She wasn't just a resident. She was the rightful heir to the entire 50-acre property. Armed with this, she instructed Marcus to file a quiet title action, challenging the HOA's ownership. Meanwhile, Harlan's life began to unravel in subtle ways. First, his wife, Karen, started receiving anonymous emails hinting at his extramarital affairs with a board member's secretary. Then, his truck was towed for unpaid fines that mysteriously appeared in the system. He blamed vandals, but deep down, he sensed something amiss. The twist deepened when Serena attended the next HOA meeting, held in the community clubhouse under fluorescent lights that buzzed like angry bees. The board, 5 white retirees led by Chairman Reginald Thorpe, sat smugly at the front. Harlan stood guard by the door, his eyes boring into Serena as she took a seat. Item 5, Pool Incident Report, Reginald droned. Harlan stepped forward. The intruder was removed without issue. No further action needed. Serena raised her hand. "Intruder? That's me you're talking about." The room fell silent. Reginald cleared his throat. "Ms. Washington, if you have a grievance, submit it in writing." But Serena stood, holding a stack of documents. "I have more than a grievance. I have proof that this entire community is built on stolen land, my family's land." Gasps filled the air. Harlan laughed derisively. "Stolen? Lady, you're delusional." Serena ignored him, projecting scans of old deeds onto the wall via her tablet. Elijah Washington owned this parcel in 1890. It was fraudulently transferred in 1952 through forged signatures. I filed a lawsuit to reclaim it. Chaos erupted. Residents shouted questions. The board scrambled. Reginald banged his gavel. "This is preposterous. Security, remove her." Harlan advanced, but Serena held up a court order. "Touch me, and you'll be arrested for assault." He halted, fuming. As the meeting dissolved into pandemonium, the first major twist unfolded. An elderly resident, Mrs. Evelyn Cartwright, stood up. "Wait, Elijah Washington? My grandfather mentioned him. He was cheated out of that land by the Thorpe family, Reginald's ancestors." Evelyn, a historian in her spare time, produced her own family letters corroborating the fraud. The room turned against the board. Harlan, loyal to Reginald, tried to downplay it. "This is all lies." But the seeds of doubt were planted. In the following weeks, Serena's lawsuit gained traction. Media outlets picked up the story, headlines screaming Black Heirs battles HOA over stolen legacy. Protests formed outside the gates, drawing activists from across the state. Harlan found himself demoted to night shifts, his authority crumbling. But the real bombshell came when Marcus uncovered Harlan's dirty secret. He'd been skimming HOA funds for years, funneling money into a personal account for gambling debts. Confronted privately, Harlan begged for mercy. "Please, I'll resign. Just don't expose me." Serena, meeting him in a neutral coffee shop, stared him down. "You humiliated me because of my skin. Now, you'll help me expose the board." Reluctantly, Harlan turned whistleblower, providing emails showing the board's knowledge of the land fraud. The second twist hit like a thunderclap. During the trial, it emerged that Reginald Thorpe wasn't just a chairman. He was Harlan's half-brother, born from an affair their father had hidden. The two had conspired to keep the HOA under family control, suppressing any challenges. Courtroom drama peaked as Serena testified, her voice unwavering. "This isn't about revenge. It's about justice for generations denied." The judge ruled in her favor, awarding her ownership of Willow Creek. Cheers erupted. Harlan and Reginald were arrested for embezzlement and fraud. But the story didn't end there. In a final twist, Serena discovered a hidden clause in the original deed: underground mineral rights worth millions in untapped natural gas. She transformed Willow Creek into an inclusive community, renaming it Washington Estates, with affordable housing and scholarships for underrepresented youth. Harlan, out on bail, watched from afar as his world collapsed, divorced, broke, and shunned. Serena, lounging by her pool once more, reflected on the journey. From kicked-out intruder to rightful owner, her story became a beacon of resilience, proving that sometimes the underdog doesn't just bark, they bite back and reclaim what's theirs. As the sun set over the revitalized estate, Serena whispered to herself, "Home at last." But wait, the twists weren't over yet. Months later, a knock at her door revealed a young man claiming to be her long-lost nephew, bearing documents that suggested even more family land scattered across the South. Together, they embarked on a new quest, uncovering a network of corrupt officials who'd buried Black histories for profit. Harlan, seeking redemption, offered insider tips from his old contacts, turning from villain to reluctant ally. The community flourished under Serena's leadership, hosting cultural festivals that drew crowds from USA and UK alike, sharing tales of triumph over adversity. Yet, shadows lingered. A rival developer, envious of the gas rights, plotted sabotage, hiring hackers to forge counterclaims. Serena, ever vigilant, countered with her tech savvy, exposing the plot and expanding her empire. In a poignant moment, she confronted Harlan one last time. "Why did you do it?" she asked. He hung his head. "Fear. Of change, of people like you succeeding." Serena nodded. "Then learn from it." He did, volunteering at her new community center. The narrative wove through years, with Serena's influence growing globally, inspiring books and films. Twists multiplied. A hidden love affair with Marcus blossomed into marriage, their union symbolizing unity. A betrayal from within. Evelyn's grandson, jealous of the changes, leaked false stories to tabloids. But Serena quashed it with truth. The property's value skyrocketed, funding scholarships that sent kids to Oxford and Harvard, bridging US-UK divides. Darker turns emerged. Threats from white supremacist groups, forcing Serena to hire protection, but she turned it into advocacy, speaking at international forums. Harlan's redemption arc peaked when he saved her from an assailant, earning forgiveness. The story spanned generations, with Serena's great niece inheriting the legacy, ensuring the twists of fate continued. Through it all, themes of racism, resilience, and reclamation pulsed, a 7,000-word epic reminding us that ownership isn't just about land. It's about owning your narrative. And as the final chapter closed, Serena stood tall, her pool now a symbol of inclusion, where everyone belonged, no questions asked.